Hello, fellow cyborgs. Today I'm going to talk to you about the state of my physical TBR and why I'm going to unhaul some books and how I came to have too many books, in my opinion. So as you've seen on my channel, over the last few years, I've been working toward getting a 0 TBR. At this point, I no longer want a 0 TBR, but I do want to maintain a small physical TBR. For me, that number is under 40, and I specifically want them to fit on one small shelf on my bookcase. It's like about 12 inches of shelf space. That's my goal. I'm certainly not there yet. I probably have 3 times that amount of shelf space of books that I have yet to read, and I'm flexible on that shelf space. But I do have some rules about hauling that overall help me haul less and haul only books that I really want to keep that I have recently broken. So I'm going to go through those rules in detail and show you the books I'm going to get rid of because they break those rules. So one of my biggest rules is only buying what I can't borrow, either from friends or from my local library. I have 2 books here that I hauled because of that. So the first one is a nonfiction. It's Bookmarks, Reading in Black and White, which is a memoir by Carla F.C. Holloway. So I thought that this was a memoir from a Black writer's perspective, reminiscing on the books that informed her childhood and her childhood reading, and talking about the impact of not seeing yourself in literature as you grew up. I don't know if that does tackle this, but it is a lot denser than I was expecting it to be. So this is the sort of book where if I had been able to get it from the library, I think fairly quickly I would have realized that it was not the fast read that I was looking for at the time and would not want to pursue reading it at that time and just return it. Because I can't return it, it has been on my shelves for months with me having 0 interest in picking it up anytime soon, so I will be unhauling this because of that. I don't think this was a bad purchase, I just don't think I want to keep it on my shelves anymore. Sometimes buying something because you can't borrow it works out and you end up loving it, and sometimes it doesn't work out. Similarly, I have Letters to Children from Beatrix Potter, which is collected and introduced by Judy Taylor. I purchased this specifically for a readathon, and I didn't end up reading this for that readathon. This would be an interesting book to flip through, but not necessarily to own. The motivation I had to read this has long gone with that readathon. So similarly to Bookmarks, this is not a regrettable purchase, but I don't want to keep it on my shelves any longer. So another one of my rules is to only buy what you were going to read very soon. This helps me stay on top of my current reading desires and moods, and not buy books because I at one point in my lifetime want to read them, rather buying books that I know I'm going to get to fairly soon. This is a Star Trek Voyager novel called Mosaic by Jerry Taylor. I actually purchased this for my mother to read, but she reads far more quickly than I am that she finished it and now has passed it on to me. This represents about 6 Star Trek novels that I purchased for her birthday last year that she then passed to me that I have not read yet. And I was very sneaky, but not really. I purchased those books for Mom knowing full well that I would get to read them. And now I have 6 books on my physical TBR, and I have no plans to read them anytime soon. I still want to read those Star Trek novels, but Mosaic I was able to pick up as an audiobook and narrated by Kate Mulgrew, who starred in Voyager, and I'd much rather read the audiobook, listen to the audiobook, than I would read this physical book. So I'm going to unhaul this, knowing that I have it in different format on audio. Another way I keep my physical TBR down is only buying books that I really want. I no longer have the desire to walk into a bookstore and just free range browse for whatever I fancy at the time or whatever is the best option that this bookstore happens to have. Right now, I'm really only interested in physically collecting the books that I have thought long and hard about reading, heard many good things about reading, or that I just can't seem to forget about. Similarly, if you're interested in reading an author you haven't tried before and you have one of their books on your mind, but you find another one of their books in the store instead, I would say don't pick up that other title because you'd already decided you wanted to start somewhere else. I've fallen into that trap. It's a bit different, but this is In the Shadow of Man by Jane Van Lawick Goodall. Last year, I believe, I started listening to an audiobook of hers called Seeds of Hope, and I still want to finish that at some point in the future, but this book is not her other book, and just because I really liked what I had read so far of her other book doesn't mean I need to keep this one on my shelves because I know nothing about this book, and it is not the book that I actually want to read by this author. So as much as I might enjoy this, and it's got some fun sprayed edges, I don't need to keep this on my shelves because this is not the book I actually want to read of hers. This is just another book of hers. And if I, for some reason, find that I have missed out on the opportunity to read In the Shadow of Man, I'm sure I'll be able to get my hands on it sometime in the future. It might even be at my library already. And my last rule, which I have definitely broken, is not accepting books just because they are free or buying books just because they are cheap. This again goes back to only buying books you really want rather than the ones that are available to you. That was definitely something that I very much fell into the trap of when my physical TBR was close to 200 books. I would go to library book sales or hear from friends that they're getting rid of books, and if a book at all interested me even the slightest, I would say yes, I want it, and that quickly built up to dozens of books that I was mildly interested in but would never have spent full sticker price for, which to me is a good way of knowing how much I truly want to own this book versus just try reading it. I in no means mean to imply that you have to only purchase books at full price, but I think a lot of us collect things because we get them on sale rather than because they are things that we actually desire in and of themselves. So a prime example of that is this little petite poetry collection, Selections from American Poetry. This is quite an old copy, but it's not in the most excellent condition. It looks like it was published in 1917, which is all well and good. I know that somebody would really enjoy this small vintage book, but the poets in here are, I don't think, necessarily the American poets that I want to be reading right now. These were the best American poets as of 1917. Not only are the tastes of poetry collections different these days, but there are so many poets who were born after 1917 or who were finally recognized after 1917 for their work that are not included in here. As cute and vintagey as this is, it is one more title on my shelves that I just don't need to be there. So with those 5 unhauls, my physical TBR shelf has just shrunk from 45 to 40, which is a lot nicer of a number. Feels a little bit lighter for me than 45. So in summation, only buy what you can't borrow, only buy what you're going to read soon, only buy what you really want to read, and don't buy something just because it's cheap, or don't accept something just because you can get it for free. Those are some of the pitfalls that I still occasionally fall into, but at least I see them when they're on my shelves and then can amend them if I so choose. Please let me know in the comments down below what stumps you at keeping your physical TBR low, and until next time, maybe unhaul some books and continue to be lovely.